On January 8th this year, we had a heck of a storm come through. There was a lot of rain, and then the winds picked up after we had thoroughly saturated soil. So we've been doing an awful lot of storm cleanup. Well, here's a job I actually bid it a few weeks ago, and the homeowner told me that she wasn't in a hurry, so we carried on with all the work we had scheduled. We just put her on the schedule, so it wasn't an emergency. But these are all Arizona cypress, and it's a little bit different than our local Monterey cypress. It has a very interesting wood to it, and a little bit later on I'll show you a piece of furniture that I built out of this kind of wood. So we got the job of cleaning up this mess, and I tell you, it feels like a tornado went through here. Unbelievable, tree after tree after tree. Some of them showed signs of decay and split and completely self-destructed. Others just flopped over. Some of them were uprooted. It's a big property too. So it was quite a challenge, this job, because the distance that we had to haul all this debris, all this brush, was quite extensive. I've got 1 day into the job already, so this is before we did anything here. But look at this. It was pretty amazing that the root systems of most of these trees were not that extensive. There's one that just shattered. You can see there was some rot down low. So anyway, it'll be an interesting job. I've still got a couple more days in there. We were able to pull out a section of the fence, and the neighbor allowed us to pull in. And so from about the third of the way point, we were able to carry the brush out. And that helped us out immensely. And it also saved her a lot of money because we're basing this job on time. It's a fairly large property here. And interestingly, she's not in a big hurry to get all this done. So she says, a day here and a day there is fine. So we did 1 day last week. We're going to be working on it again on Tuesday. But I wanted to give you kind of an overview before we got into the job. There was one really interesting part of it that was a little sketchy. We had one of these trees fall down and land on an old arbor. And the arbor is close to 50 years old. It's a redwood arbor. And it smacked it pretty good, but didn't damage any of the main structure. So I believe that the tree sort of bent over and rocked down. So my challenge here is, how do I get this thing off of the arbor without causing additional damage? So first thing I did was inspect all the wood to see if there was anything that might have led to a collapse for me. Ooh, and there's other obstacles there, sharp bits of cactus. So the job, I was talking about the wood. Here's a piece of furniture. It's an Adirondack chair I built about 20 years ago out of this exact same type of wood. So I will be salvaging some of the logs. This is the part that was leaning on the overhang here. And I made the decision not to cut any of the lower branches that were helping to support it, because I wasn't quite sure how much the arbor was supporting it and how much the lower branches were supporting it. So with great trepidation and extreme care, I climbed up on top of this old arbor here, being careful not to step between the long, strong boards there. And I spent some time processing it, one branch at a time, and tossing it. And it was kind of interesting. I was rocking it to see how much pressure there was, and I was kind of surprised that it was moving a bit. So I got it cut all the way down to the very last bit there, and it was hardly resting on it at all. So the limbs that are on the ground, as well as part of the stump, were supporting a lot more than I anticipated. But to play it safe, I went ahead and I put in a prop. I cut a prop from one of the other pieces and jammed it in there because the last cuts there, I wanted to make sure they didn't fall down and damage the edge of the arbor or the brickwork. I don't know if it was necessary, but it did make me feel a little bit more secure. So last cuts, I put a ladder up next to the tree. Now, normally, if I was working on something that was under pressure like this, I would come from the underside. But because I moved it and it was very free, I was able to come in from the top. As I said before, I put a prop up under there because I wasn't quite sure if this was going to be pressuring too much down onto the overhang. So I got to the point where it was safe to cut the prop out, and I was surprised it didn't go down. I thought all these lower branches would just break and it would come all the way down. So I did cut those, and it did slowly rest itself down. So we carried on with the job, and it took us 2 full days. And I decided to load up some of these pieces of wood to take them to the mill. So this is a type of wood that's actually quite beautiful. Not many people use cypress wood around here anyway. And this is a particular type of cypress that's relatively slow growing because each of these trees were 50 to 60 years old, and they are not very big diameters. So the growth rings were pretty tight. In some areas where there weren't any knots, it was pretty straight grain. I'm going to take it to my friend Toby has a bandsaw mill, and I told him I'd split it all with him 50-50, and we'll do all the milling together. But you can see how much of a haul this job was. We had a slight hillside, so working along that hillside it was tough on the ankles. Look at this, boy. There were some branches in there that just erupted. They just popped open. And here it is, end of the day. That's all my saw logs. Hey, thanks for watching. So another day, another tree job. I am working on a big redwood tree today. Jorge and I are out here. It's a big triple trunk redwood, and it's coming out pretty nice. You know, on my videos, you'll probably notice that I show a lot of videos of the jobs and the situations that we're working on, because I think that you can benefit from seeing somebody else doing the work, as well as talking about the jobs, talking about the trees, talking about the different circumstances that arise on a regular day-to-day job. And because this YouTube channel has such a vast worldwide audience now, I'm probably showing you trees that you've never seen before or never worked on before. Just like when I see trees from another nation or another part of the world that I'm not used to, I'm always interested. So I hope you find my channel of value. And if you're not subscribed, please do. Please leave me comments. I always ask for comments. I'm trying really hard to build a community of like-minded tree people. And it doesn't mean that you have to be in the business. You can just be a lover of trees and want to know more about how to take care of your own trees or other people's trees. But I got to thank you all for the time and many years of following this channel.